So, this is another part of the Ecoscapes lecture series which discusses about beat plastic pollution. So, we will look at in this lecture how to beat plastic pollution and to save environment and humans' sustenance on earth. So, we know plastic has many valuable uses. But it seems that we have become so addictive to single use or disposable plastic. Disposable or single use plastic has severe environmental consequences. If we look at the fact, these facts are really alarming actually. Around the world, 1 million plastic drinking bottles are purchased every minute. So every minute 1 million plastic drinking bottles are purchased by people all over the world. And while up to 5 trillion single-use plastic bags are used worldwide every year. 5 trillion single-use plastic bags. So we just not consume it, we also throw almost 5 trillion and more amount of single-use plastic into the earth, which is really alarming and scary in nature. So in total, half of all plastic produced is designed to be used only once. So most of the plastic products that we use, it is by nature designed to be used only once, and then we throw away. Thus we have imbibed the culture of throw away culture. Plastic waste is now so ubiquitous, that is so common and easily available in the natural environment. Wherever you look, you will see huge bulky plastic bags filled with lot of garbage. Especially if you travel through national highways, you will see huge amounts of plastic bags thrown away, discarded. So the plastic waste is so ubiquitous, and scientists have even suggested it could serve as a geological indicator of the Anthropocene era, which we had discussed in the previous lecture. So from the 1950s to the 70s, only a small amount of plastic was produced. So during 1950s and 70s, only a small amount of plastic was produced. So during that time, plastic waste was manageable. But by the time it was 1990s, the plastic waste generation had more than tripled in 2 decades. In just 2 decades, the use and throw of plastic tripled, following a similar rise in plastic production. So plastic production also increased and plastic waste generation was also increased. In early 2000s, the scene changes drastically. It escalates. So human output of plastic waste rose more in a single decade. So it rose just in a single decade than it had in the previous 40 years. So today we produce about 300 million tons of plastic waste every year. So every year we produce almost 300 million tons of plastic waste, which is a huge, very large amount of plastic pollution. So this huge number is almost equal or equivalent to the weight of the entire human population. So can you imagine the whole amount of plastic waste that we produce just in an year, is almost heavy as the whole human population on earth. Even thinking about it makes me go crazy. So researchers have estimated that more than 8.3 billion tons of plastic has been produced since the early 1950s. And about 60% of that plastic has ended up in either a landfill or a natural environment. So from the 1950s to whatever plastic waste we have produced, 60% of that plastic waste has been entered into landfill or our natural environment. So plastic pollution has become a part of our life now, which is a very disturbing trend in human lifestyle. So now let's look at other worrying or disturbing trends. So since the 1950s, the rate of plastic production has grown faster than any other material. So we largely produce huge amount of plastic. We have also seen a shift away from the production of durable plastic and towards plastics that are meant to be thrown away after a single use. So we hardly produce durable plastic, and we have now commonly stick to single-use plastic. So we use single-use plastic very frequently. More than 99% of plastics are produced from chemicals derived from oil, natural gas and coal, all of which are dirty, non-renewable resources. If current trends continue, what we will be able to see in our future is that by 2050, plastic industry could account for 20%. It could account for 20% of world's total consumption, total oil consumption. So, if we follow this style of living, by 2050, what will be the result? That is, plastic industry could account for 20% of world's total oil consumption. So, world's total oil production will be consumed by whom? The plastic industry, and that too to produce harmful plastic objects. Thus, we can come to a conclusion that single-use plastic products have become an integral part of our day-to-day lives, and wherever we look, we can see plastic products. For many of us, they have become integral. Like we use plastic every day. Without touching or using a plastic material, our life or our day-to-day experiences won't be complete. Our day won't come to an end without using these plastic objects. So most commonly we use PET water bottles. So the full form of PET is polyethylene terephthalate.